I was out at noon. Yeah, and then it made a big move.
Well, that's still a good trade. So you saw on Bookmap here it get held up at this 107, and then you just kind of took it as it was curling up.
Yeah.
Or nice. Yeah, lately I've been a little sketched out to take any kind of like a 5 minute high like this because one, you're under the J lines, but two, everything's been so choppy. Like I didn't take any trades this morning like this because I was worried that it was just going to pull right back down. But this was the clear signal when it took out this liquidity zone and then bounced up like that, and then now it's going to make a 5 minute high. That was just a great observation. Good eye on that one, dude. Because I mean, it literally
Or
took out this one. You take it around here for the 5 minute high, and then your target is up here, 110.
yeah, that was um that was the plan. I was not 100% confident in the trade to be honest. But
Yeah.
yeah, um,
Well, nice.
at least it worked out.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, Nvidia kind of did the same thing, and then I got messed up near the open on it, and then actually I didn't take any trades on the open on it, but I was like watching at the open, and then I missed the run up, and then I shorted it back to the J lines. Let's see, where was my Nvidia trade? So this was Nvidia on the 1 minute. I was trying to short it, covered, shorted some more, and then it squeezed. Actually, no, I shorted here, covered, it squeezed up. So I got all out here, literally on the top tick, of course. And then as it dropped back down and turned into a stop, I reshorted it. And then I got just a couple partials here and just out at break even. Then I shorted here, wider stop in front of this 230 liquidity zone, which I'll show you on Bookmap. And it came up all the way to it. And I was pretty big size, so I let it run against me a little bit here, which I try not to normally do. And then I trimmed it. And then I got a partial here at the J lines and then just reloaded and partials all the way down and all out here. So this trade made the day. How's everybody else doing? Top tick, Paul.
So Eric,
Yeah.
is it all right if I ask you like a question about big caps? There's a picture that I sent you.
Okay.
It's just okay. So the question is basically what's your process in determining your watch list and what you're gonna trade? Because I've been looking at all the big caps, right, and I know, no, it's not that I know them, but like I have a general idea of all the big cap setups now. But what I don't understand is why you trade like for example Nvidia, Facebook and stuff like that. For example, Jay, how come he like now he only trades like for example Tesla, Facebook, or like Apple, stuff like that, and some other people they trade stuff with like news. I saw Toptic trading Futu, was it? So basically, I got this scanner, right. Just from from the small cap room, and I understand that to get the plays right. Like you have the J-Lines curl, it has to be above PDR, above the pre-market high,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But why do you trade like for example Nvidia like specifically? Because for
Hmm.
example, like I've been talking to Toptic, and he's been answering my questions. He said he has a basket of tickers, and and I don't understand like what makes those stocks be in that basket, right?
Yeah. Well, there's as you know, tons of big caps, right?
Yeah.
And some of them suck to trade. They're just the worst. Some of them just don't trade well. And then over time, you start to realize which ones trade a little bit better. And if you guys want to screenshot this, you can. I'd screenshot it like from here. Actually, you can do it like
That's
that.
your big cap watch list.
This is just a list that I like leave here, and then I always am adding and deleting stuff like down here.
Okay.
But like this portion, this chunk of it, I leave here. This is like some of my long-term stuff, but and then this is just things that I scan through each day. Obviously today it's all green, but all I have to do is look at this list and I see what's moving the most. If I see something has moved a lot while the rest of the other big caps are just like at flat or up or down 1%, but then Uber is up, let's say 10%, well, then there's something going on. And then I will look it up real quick to see what the news was. And this is all I'm looking at is the percentage change in value in price here, like how much is it moving on the day, and then just the volume. You know, if you look at the volume, things can start to stand out more on the list. For instance, see AMD. This is a $111 stock, but 100 million shares were traded today. So that's quite a bit. Apple always has a lot, 89 million. Nvidia up 7% today, which is a lot. It's a big move for a $230 stock. So, and 48 million shares. You always got volume to confirm if it's good or not. So I look through the volume. If I see something's moved a lot, but it's on low volume, I'm maybe not that interested. Uh, Today, Bumble, where was Bumble? Bumble had earnings, I think yesterday or something, and you see it's up 41%. That's a $23 stock. Not a tremendous amount of volume for it. So, and then you'll always see like 100. Here's 100 million shares, but this is a $2 stock. You know what I'm saying? So 100 million shares on a $2 stock, that's a lot easier to achieve compared to an AMD 100 million shares with a $110 stock. That's a lot of money that moved in and out. Um, and yeah, so all I'm looking for is if I looked at your list here, I would just say what's popping out to me on the volume. So I'd scan through this. Look at Apple 77 million today. AMD was at 97. Snap had 25 million. That was interesting. And then Uber. And then Neo always trades quite a bit of volume. But you need the percentage change on here too.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so if I were all you guys, I would like screenshot this and then just put it on your watch list. And then you always have the stuff that you trade the small caps, but you can always like just scroll through this, flip through this really quick at 9:45, 10 a.m. One time you just scan through it and then you see what's moving. And then you say, oh, Snapchat was up 7.9%. What's going on? And then you just can flip over to it real quick. And then I can instantly see low volume here in pre-market, but it actually popped up. It chopped a little bit, got above this blue dotted line, which is pre-market high, and now it's trading actually pretty well. It broke out. It was on top of R4 fib, Camarillo pivot point level resistance 4, pulled back to it, set up on the 9MA above VWAP, above pre-market high, and then this thing started to curl and go. So you can easily flip over to these things and just see what's going on. And I can just look at this and say, okay, here's where we're at. We're trending up. This thing was kind of holding. Maybe if it dipped down over here towards 34, I might take a long and try to go for wherever, let's say, if it was in the middle of the day. So you can always go through your list like this.
So you have your like perma watch list, right? So
Yeah, this is
yeah.
what I've been building for like 2.5 years of
Okay.
just things that I've traded. Let's say there's a stock that traded, crazy with some news catalyst, and then I went and traded it, and it traded well. The price action was pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't like it, then it's not on here.
So
Like for instance, like there's like Bank of America and some of like the financial companies like Goldman Sachs. Those things suck to trade. They're the worst. They just don't trade good. I mean, sometimes, but um, I don't know who was saying it, but they were saying how if something is not good to trade one time, most likely the next time you come back to it, it probably won't be that great to trade again. And I'm talking about like price action and how price action moves. But yeah,
so
does that kind of answer?
yes,
Hmm.
yes, that's very good. Thank you. One more thing. So how do you decide to put a new ticker onto that watch list like a big cap? Because I see some people they they just look at the big caps news and they just like they don't trade like the normal big caps that I see that Jay trades, like they
Hmm.
find news and they trade those. I don't know how to explain it. It's a bit
Yeah.
weird.
Well, it depends like on what kind of scanners and stuff you have. Um, I just hang on one second. Let me put this thing back. But what people do, what software are you using?
So I have the Russian guys Thinkorswim and I also have Trade Zero.
Okay. So, you know, in Trade Zero or in Thinkorswim, watch like a couple YouTube videos on scanners, and you'll be able to start building a scanner. So, for instance, with a big cap here, let's see if I have one. I don't really use this anymore, but this is okay. Never mind. Um, so here's FinViz, which is pretty cool. Let's see. You can click through the ads. It's got some potential. Um, so here's FinViz. I'm on the screener here. So let's say I want to trade some big caps, and I'm looking for, let's see here, earnings market cap. So market cap, you can change like the market cap here. So let's put mid plus. Let's start with mid plus and see how this goes. And then current volume. Current volume, we want, so you could use this in the morning. And on a big cap, you want something in the morning with, a couple million shares traded, let's say, from the open. So here, relative volume over three. You know what relative volume is, right?
Um,
So it's like you got like, let's say on average the stock trades, keep it simple, a million shares a day. Well, if it's the R vol is 300%, it's trading 3 times what it's normally doing. So
oh, okay, yeah.
so let's say it trades normally uh, 10 million a day, and then now it's doing 50 million. It's gonna have an elevated R vol. So look at this. From here, we went and just said, okay, we want to see mid caps and above with a higher R vol. And let's see, average volume. So I was under descriptive and I put two things, and then now I'm under technical. And let's see, change from the open. So from the open, we want, let's say up 7%, because the big cap sometimes, if it's above 5 to 7%, that can be a big move for a big cap. And see how I've narrowed this down to 6 stocks?
Yes.
And now I just look here and I see, okay, Bumble, the dating app, is just going good for everybody, I guess, because it's up 41% today. I thought it had bad earnings, but you never know with trading earnings. So 41%. This one was at 43%, but see, the price is $6, so that's not what I would consider a big cap. We want to change the price. So there's a way to have the price. Oh, here it is. Price, everything over $20. So there we go. I've narrowed this down to 2 things in play. And this is a free website to do these scanners. And then what you do is you just log in and you save this, and then every day you can like adjust your criteria. So for everybody that is not good at finding a stock to trade in the morning, because I used to not be good at finding a stock to trade in the morning. I was indecisive, and it's hard to do. It's like going out and trying to catch a fish in the lake or wherever you are near you. Well, there's going to be a local guy that fishes at that lake and knows the exact bait and the exact pole and everything to use to catch the fish, and the exact type of fish that depending on where you're fishing. If you're coming down here to Miami, where I'm at, it's not going to be the same thing when you're fishing where you are. So it just depends. Are you looking for small caps? Are you looking for big caps? Are you looking for a certain type of big cap? So with this, we just filtered it down to two stocks. And right here, you can just highlight over it, and you see how Bumble was in a downtrend, and then it just gapped up heavy right there on this day. You can see it right there on the chart. So that tells me, okay, we got a nice gap up. I'm surprised it didn't close red on the day, because it just was in a complete downtrend. This stock is not that good. So I'm surprised it didn't, but it didn't, I guess. And then Occidental Petroleum, which is an energy oil company, they've just been ripping. If you would have bought this thing a month ago, you would have made 100% return on your money long term. So you got these 2 things in play. And then I'll go back to my chart, and also you can build these scanners in your platform. All the scanners work the same. It's just a certain criteria, and pretty much what I just showed you was what you want to look for big caps. So then Bumble's on the list, Oxy's on the list, okay? And then if it traded pretty well, and I go through the scanner, let's say each day, and I look back at the stock and I say, okay, Bumble actually did pretty good today. Maybe I'm going to leave it on my list here. And then this list grows, or if there's something I don't like, I'll just take it right off. And then Oxy, which I already had it on my list for like a year or 2, because Oxy, let's look at it on the weekly chart. Where was I trading Oxy before? I want to say March 2020, maybe I was doing some trading on Oxy, or maybe here in this run. But I've traded it before because there was a day that it randomly came up on the scanners and it was in play. So you're just looking for something in play every day. And, another easy way is to look at that earnings whisper, right? Earnings whispers. We've been in earnings season, which is the best time to trade big caps. It's the most fun. So here's CrowdStrike. And you can go through like this list. Let's see. Oh, this is after market close. So AMC, this before market open is here, after market close is here. This is Wednesday the 9th. So CrowdStrike just released earnings. So CRWD. And CRWD. And look at that. CrowdStrike's up 22%, 8 million shares traded for $192 stock. That's not as many shares as I would like to see. And if we look at the daily, that's a pretty good day right here. It was down here at 159 and ripped up. So this is a solid day. And then, oh, it actually didn't move very much here. And then look, the earnings came out and look where it's at now. So this tells me CrowdStrike is it's going to be in play tomorrow. There's going to be potentially something happening on this one. So now I know tomorrow already one thing I'm going to check in pre-market. If it trades like garbage in pre-market, I might not trade it. And then I might just go back to Tesla or Nvidia or Apple to play it safe because I am comfortable with the price action and the candle movement. I know that Tesla or Apple is not going to create a huge stuff like maybe some random small cap would that I'm trading for the first time ever and I'm going to find out what's going to happen. I can trade it with, more relaxed essentially. And that's why Jay loves to trade Tesla and, certain stocks. It's just like a go-to. If there's not much happening with small caps, you have your go-to that you can go and comfortably trade. For me, that's been lately AMD, MU, Nvidia. Why? They're the chip makers. They make all the computer chips and all the stuff that's been happening with the computer chip technology and the supply shortages. It's been in play. It's had action every single day. That's at least you can scalp it or find a move out of it. So yeah. Does that kind of answer it?
Yes, that's really really good. Thank you, Eric, and also to Irish for because she was
Oh yeah. What
typing in the
was
chat.
uh because they have plays almost every day and they're liquid, yeah, with a range. Exactly. They're always something. There's always a little bit of meat in the move that you can get on one of those. Great examples to learn setups. Yeah, that's so true too. I like this. Great example to learn setups every day. At the end of the day, you guys should be checking your small caps and saying, okay, what setup did I miss on uh, let's say EOS, right? So here's where it popped up. This is where Jay short, I think maybe Jay shorted this one here. Here it pops into pre-market high and then it rejects. So I missed this kind of pop and fail right here on the small cap. But then also you should go to your big caps and say, for me, like I said, I check AMD every day, NVIDIA, MU. I don't check Google. That thing's too big to trade. It's $2,600 a share. It's too much, and the spread's too high. But AMD, for instance, I'll look at this and say, okay, Flo got this move here on it. He was able to do this liquidity grab off the low of the day there. He spotted this on Bookmap, see where it held up. And I was telling you guys last time, did it hold up and break right through and just stay below it? Or did it hold up and bounce and it couldn't get back below it? So two completely different reactions that happen at a heavy liquidity zone. And sure enough, this thing curled up. You kind of had this fast move cutting through the J lines, but this was the real move right here. It goes up, runs into pre-market high, pulls back. Remember how I told you guys last time when it rejects pre-market high, where are we going then? We're going back to the J lines.
Yeah, the timeline.
The
Yeah.
timeline, yeah. If someone can make that in a better way than I describe it, I'm curious to see if someone can do that because that is like, I think, a very important understanding for big caps. And then, but as he learns the setups and the small cap room process, traders feel more comfortable to their own watch list, which is true. Yeah, and then I alert big caps at the open. Exactly. So that's it. And I make it sound like it's easy, and it is easy after you've done it every single day. It's like going to the gym. You go to the gym at first, you don't have any results for a long time, for maybe 3 months, maybe even 6 months of going to the gym every day. You go there every day, 5 days a week, and then you don't get any results. And then all of a sudden, in 6 months to a year, you're like, you look in the mirror and you're like, heck yeah, I look good. So same concept. You do this, you're not going to really understand what you're doing in the beginning. And then eventually, this is easy. Every day, picking a stock is very easy to do. And when I pick a stock and it doesn't trade well at the open, I instantly know, okay, maybe this is not what I should be trading. Let me go back and scan the list. And I narrow it all down to 3 to 4 stocks. 2 of them I keep on my screens. Like this is one, and then I have a duplicate of this screen is another. And then maybe I'll check, 2 or 3 other ones if one of my 2 are not trading very well. But usually if I'm in one trade on one stock, I'm pretty focused on that. I'm not checking other things. But what was it? I think this, was it dear? Oh, it was, I think, CANO. I think at the open today, it wasn't really like moving. It was like grinding higher. And then Jay said, okay, guys, it's 10 o'clock and this thing's just grinding higher. Does that mean we should trade it? No. Avoid trading this thing. It wasn't worth it because it wasn't even doing any big moves. So this was an example of you put something on your list and you're like, okay, I'm looking for a pop and fail, a gap and extension on Cano or CANO, whatever. And then it ended up not doing it. So just don't trade it. And it's the same thing with the big cap. You put Bumble on your list, you come up with a strategy or a plan, and then it really didn't even trade that good. This thing shot up in the first 5 minutes, and then for 30 minutes straight, it went sideways. That's garbage. That is not worth trading or trying to force a setup. So, and for these little moves of 50 cents here, forget it. So then I know Bumble actually didn't trade that well. That's why I didn't even actually take, I think I took 1 trade short on it today and it didn't work. And besides that, I didn't take any other trades on it because why would I try to fight something that is clearly showing me that it's not working? On the 5 minutes, just going sideways. Same thing with Tesla today at the open. Look at this, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of just like pure sideways action. And then it dips down, it rejects pre-market low. It kind of does a reverse fail follow through and then it goes back up. It's a pre-market high. So this was not that great to trade near the open either. Honestly, the big cap trading today was not that good. And it was tricky yesterday and the day before. So, we're trading in a war and no one knows which way is up or down right now in the stock market. So, that's just a lot of indecision. So, any other thoughts on that, guys? Did I cover everything?
No, thank you. That was really good. It really answered all my questions about the watch list. Thank you.
Anyone else got questions?
No, I think that's it.
Well, if no one has any questions, Eric, I sent you a chart in your DM on Apple the other day.
Yeah. Okay.
I got a question about it. Yeah. So I did the long right there, and because I know, I'm just scalping big caps a lot, and I know that, you're doing really well in big caps. So I was like, okay, I'm going to, go long here at the J lines.
Mhm.
And I took some off there, because I went in a little bit bigger size than I should have. And then when it reached that and this is a 1 minute chart, and when it reached that 200 and the VWAP there, I was like, well, let me take some more off because, I don't want to get, usually that level, sometimes it reverses very quickly.
Yeah.
And so, and then I held it because I said, well, if it pushes again up against that yesterday's close, which is that light blue dotted line.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what, I'm safe. I'm good here. I've got my stop. I've got my break. I'm good. I'm in the money. I've got some room. So the that baby blue line, yeah, I said, well, let me see if it pushes above that. And then when it got above that, then I was like, well, let me see if it pushes above the open level, which is the dark blue line. And I was like, well, now let me see if it gets to the fuchsia level, which is the pre-market high. So I did, and it did push up there. But that's definitely one that I wanted to talk to you about, because I was like, I wasn't sure whether this was really like an A plus setup or an A setup.
Mm-hmm. So let's see here. This was on the 7th.
The day I sent it to you, let me see.
Okay, yeah, which is the 7th on Apple. So that's Monday. Let's look really quick. Let's go to the 1 minute.
Yeah, 7th. Because it kept testing the open level and yesterday's closing price, and the day before, the previous day's closing price. And I wasn't sure if that was what was the previous day range and what wasn't. Like in small caps, I don't particularly pay too much attention to previous day range, because usually they're just either they're gapping up or they're gapping down, and there's demand or support and certain levels that I'm looking for. But on the big caps, I think that's quite important. This previous day's range.
Yeah. So, okay, just looking at, I'm gonna scroll back here. Okay, so like this looks to be on the 7th pre-market low, let's say roughly here, and then it actually shot up. It opened up right at pre-market high, so roughly here was pre-market high. So that's the pre-market range, let's say. Let's delete this. So here's the pre-market range. And now I'm going to scroll back here, and then I want to look at the previous day range, okay? And I can see on Apple, if I scroll back here on the 5 minute, that, let me turn this off to make it a little easier. Here on the 5 minute, if we go back a few days ago to here, this is what we're doing, right? Which it's essentially following the J lines.
Yeah.
And then on the 7th here, it actually kind of broke this trend line that we had just drawn, and it actually got up strong. It came back down, it rested on this trend line almost, and then it shot back up, and it kind of got into this range of yesterday, or of the previous day, which was Friday of last week. So it, now if I put more lines here, I'm going to change the color to, okay, so here's the range of that previous day, right? So it did this trend, it was going down, it did a trend line break, it got into the previous day's range, and what happened when it got right to the top of this previous day's range?
Rejected.
It kind of projected here. It actually, the top of the range actually was up here too, but that was a significant level right there. So it got up there, rejected, came back down, got to here where it held up in pre-market. It actually, it went up here in pre-market, it curled up right here. So you could have had a line, roughly right here. And then it went back up and it rejected pre-market high. So what it did was it went to this level here and rejected. And then it came back up and it tried to get to pre-market high and it rejected. And now, once it's doing a lower high, that's where we start to look for more of a short position. But paying attention to where it was trading on the previous days can really help
Mm-hmm.
a lot. Oops. Let me just go to a bigger time frame chart. Because then I know that it was in a downtrend kind of here. It actually broke that here. So that looked like a great move and to be thinking for long on this day. And what happens? We're in a weak market. So the bears are kind of more in control. They were able to stuff it back down. So paying attention to what it did on the previous day is important. Also paying attention to like the volume on the previous day can help as well. Not just the volume here, but the volume by price. So look at how this coincides. If I scroll back, let's say I look at the previous day and pre-market volume and I didn't know what was going to happen at the open. Here's where we are. We know we're in that downtrend again on Apple. We have this dark line right here. That's my volume point of control. That's the highest volume of the window of time that I'm looking at. If I scroll back, it will change it because we're adding more volume of different areas. So what I do is I'll draw a line right there. I'm going to change the color of this line again. I color code my lines. If it's like a pre-market line, it's like, for me, it's light blue. If it's a volume by price line, like we're talking about right now, it's orange. Because then when I'm trading, I'm like, okay, this is an orange line that I'm about to approach. Essentially, the price is approaching. I think of it kind of like a heat map. This was a high volume area. This is like a heat map.
Gotcha. Yes.
So we broke this line up here and then it went right back below it. So just like the auction theory we talked about, when we started trading above here, everyone thought that this was too expensive. So it got below volume point of control. It drops down, it curled up here and rejected the line and went back down. So now this next day, when we're going to watch this at the open here, I know what the volume point of control is, and we can kind of see, and this is just on a 1 minute trading, mind you. So, and as I zoom in, you see how the line just moved up here. That's because the volume point of control of this window of time that I'm looking at was actually right here. There was a high volume. When this thing spiked up, there was a ton of volume that happened right at this price, whether it took out a liquidity zone or something. So I could draw another line right there. And this is where we were trading at 11 o'clock, I believe it was. 11:15, 11:30. Is that Eastern time?
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. Now we're getting towards your trade. So we're below the J lines here, looking for potential a J line rejection here. And then what does it do? It doesn't quite do it. You got a trend line happening like that, and there was no J line rejection here. So this is where you kind of took this trade at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
First target would be probably the low of this range, and then 163 and 50. See that? So if you take this long here, you got to be careful because you got VWAP on top. And if we get through VWAP in 163 and it consolidates and it looks good, the next target's definitely 163.50. But we got to be careful because when we got in this range here, it rejected it. So we could get back over. It'll like go through here and then all of a sudden it might reject it. So here we go. It goes up, and then you got to it'll auto plot your pre-market levels. So here we go. Now we kind of did this like bigger cut pattern curling on the J lines, really on VWAP. You see how
Yes.
VWAP worked here?
Yeah, just supporting that.
And then now we got through this volume point of control. We know that we had a high volume node right up here. See that this.
So that's the next place.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, those are just a guide to kind of set you in the right direction. So see here how we got through this. We know that this was a volume node, but actually right here, see how all of it's lower volume until it gets to right here,
Mm-hmm.
164 and 50. So let's see what happens. We know that this was the volume area though, so it might not get to it. Okay, and sure enough, it didn't work.
Yeah, I think I went, I think I got out almost at the top and then re-shorted it. But I was playing with that long, and I'm like, well, why not take the long here? It's setting up, and as long as I have my stops in place, you know, I was like, but
No, I
then
mean
I'm, really, everybody taking this?
it looked good long, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
and you're
okay.
kind of riding up the 9. When you start losing the 9 and losing this volume point of control,
Yes.
this is where I start to get worried. And when we're down here and we're reapproaching value,
Mm-hmm.
I already thought in my mind that we're going to get above here and probably reject it.
Yeah.
Because right now, with all this uncertainty in the market, the only thing that we have that can help guide everyone is value. We know we traded a ton of volume at this 163 and 50, so there was just a lot of transactions happening here. That means a lot of people accept this price as either a good price, bad price, whatever. There was just a lot of transactions here. So you kind of have this that happened. And that's the setup that this is when, to me, it's a short. I mean, I wouldn't short it here, but I wouldn't be taking any more longs after this.
No.
Because we just got above value of the previous day, and now it's doing a trend line break. So just this is where you look out, you know.
Yeah, I think when it didn't have the volume or the push for the buyers to get above that next leg up, and then it came down and rejected, I think I was out then. I was like, this is not going higher, and I'm good right here.
So you see it, let's back it up a little bit. We know that this orange line here was the value using the previous day. And then now we've got this dark line here, and it says value is all the way down here because we traded a bunch right down here.
Yeah.
This is the demand zone. And looks like we've got like some bigger volume nodes right here too, and right here. So, I mean, you could draw like a line right here because we kind of held VWAP here.
Mm-hmm.
If you drew it here, I mean, there was a lot of volume right there, but if you put the line right here, this is where we held up a support. Yeah. So now I know if we get above this previous day volume, it could start to run. If it rolls back over and does a trend line break at 163 and 50, where's my first target that we're going? 163.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where are we going after that if it loses it again? This was really low volume here. If we get below 163, we can get down to 162.50. Like,
yeah.
So then what happens? It breaks down and we got down to 162 and 50. And where does it start to hold up here? At our previous volume by price. And actually, volume by price was here, and then now the line moved up to here. So it kind of moved up the volume by price line, which happens, throughout the day. The line moves.
Yeah.
And you want to pay attention to where the line is moving. If volume by price is moving the line down, 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 obviously we're not feeling good about a high price on this stock.
This is fun. This is like betting on the on a basketball game where the line of the bets keeps moving.
Yeah, I guess it's similar to that. Yeah. So, and then here it goes and tests the level. So that's where using, in my opinion, using value is very important. Using these volume nodes or shelves, as Leo and some of the other guys that are better than me at this stuff, this is really important. And then the other really important thing is using uh, the Camarillo pivot points, because there's a bunch of setups that happen with those. So here, let's go back and look at this one more time. Right here, I'm now going to turn on these two things, Camarillo pivot points and the volume price by price is my favorite, because with big caps you don't have a clear target ever. Like, I mean, you might think you got a target, but it's not like small caps where you're like, okay, I'm shorting this thing and we're going to the J lines. That is what's happening. Where on big caps you're going up and you're like, are we going to yesterday's range?
Yeah.
No, where are we actually going? So
Yeah, that's been interesting too. Because I've got, like all these levels and I'm like, okay. It almost appears like, well, if you look at it this way, it's like, oh, okay, it looks like it's making lower lows, but then look at the bottom of the chart, it looks like making higher highs. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I can just go with the setup.
yeah, I mean, the setup is the first step of the guide, and then you start to use these other little tools, and it gives you either conviction or it warns you if something's happening. For instance, here I just put on these Camarillo pivot points, which what it does is it takes like the previous day and it calculates some Fibonacci equation. And so these are like auto plotted lines. You see that? Like this is the range, this is this range, and that's the dumbed down explanation of it for me. But this is S3 and S4, which means support 3, support 4, resistance 3, resistance 4. I only use these two, the 4 and the 3. There's the 1, 2, there's the 5, the 6. But you see this, it's right at 164, but resistance 3, it got up to R4 and it rejected.
Yeah.
Came down, it held up near S3, and these levels coincide with other levels, held up here, and then it went right back to R3. And so this is actually a strategy. There's pivot point strategies, which I think I shared with you guys a while back. Let's see if I can find it. I don't know if I've got it still.
And the point of control lines, the ones that you changed to orange color to kind of, simulate like a heat map. You don't keep those on every single day. You make new ones every day, right? You keep some major support levels.
No, I delete them all and then I put them all new. The only time I keep them is if it's like some people keep all their lines on their chart. I can't do that. It just gets too messy.
Yeah. I may keep a major support level from, a year ago or something. Like these are key levels, but I change them too every day.
Yeah. And then, what I'll do is I'll look for the volume point of control on the daily chart and on a 15-minute, for instance, and I might, keep those ones there. Okay, here we go. This is what I wanted to show you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, screenshot this, you guys, all of you, because this is just something useful. These are setups that people who trade fib levels use. And it's just understanding more setups, and you're always paying attention in the market to what setups are working and what aren't working. So for instance, this was saying, okay, if the stock price opens here and it goes up to resistance 3, this setup is called the resistance 3 to support 3 traverse. So we're running into resistance number 3 and then we're going down to support 3. And this is a setup that happens very often. Here's another setup. It opens up in between as support 4 and support 3, it opens up in between, it runs into it and rejects. Or here, below S4, pops into it, rejects. And when you get below S4, or if you're trading long above R4, it's just like a rule of thumb. You can run, you can go far. The stock will start to get into this territory that it can make bigger moves for a longer period of time. So here's R3 to S3, right? And when I go back and I look at when we were trading Apple here on this day, look at here's R3. Look where it runs into it here. Look where it goes down to here, S3. So I'm not saying you should just like take this trade just like that, but what I'm saying is it's
a
good
great
to
guide.
know what setups are happening, what's working.
Yeah.
It's just kind of just more information, you know?
Yeah, and then you can begin to, you see those patterns over and over again, but it does take some time, yeah, for, to use these tools actually. And then you take the training wheels off and you can recognize them without, but they are really nice to have.
Yeah, and I mean, you can definitely go overboard with it. Like, oh, I use the RSI, I use this one, I use that one. And then you got all these things on your charts. But I believe that volume is really important at the price points.
Yep.
Because then we know where we were trading. And then these Fibonacci levels are just a measurement tool. You know how we use the golden zone, essentially? That's just a Fibonacci measurement. And it's using the very similar, I think, math to kind of create these brackets. And so I know if we're opening up in between here, maybe I don't want to take any trades. If this thing gets above R4 and it consolidates and then starts to go, I know I can long this thing and I can hold on for a bit. I don't need to partial so fast. Same thing if we get below S4, I want to see this thing go below, bounce into it, reject it, and then I know I can hold it for a little bit. And sure enough, it didn't even do it. But if you would have took a short here and you could have held it to here, using the 9 as your guide, this was a trade that you could hold because we're below S4. And those are just different strategies. So what I was saying to you guys all earlier about the big caps, you go every day and you look at Apple, Tesla, and NVIDIA and AMD and you say, okay, well, what was it doing today? And here we go. Here's Apple today. We know the market was strong. Apple opens up, it runs into pre-market high here and R4. So we're in between R3 and R4. So if I pull back up that sheet, R3 and R4, it looks like it doesn't show it here, but it's essentially like this, but the opposite. Opening up in between R3 and R4, you run into it, curl up and go. This is the opposite of that on a strong down day. So here we go. We hold up here at R3. What's the coincidence that this line worked so well? I don't know
Hey,
why.
Eric, quick question. So what's the period that you have on the pivot points?
Period. Let's see. One day.
Okay.
So if you guys want to screenshot this,
Yeah.
Screenshot this, Janine, and then you'll know how to set it up. And just put on these two because you don't need all these lines on there. You just need these two. And then for the other one, if you guys want to screenshot this one too, volume by price, this one's pretty easy. You just check on point of control. You can adjust however you want your colors on the volume bars here, but the volume point of control line will be moving around, so you want that. So what I did on this chart, you see how you don't see the volume point of control here? It's actually, or you don't see the volume by price, but you see this dark line here is my volume point of control. I put the volume by price full transparency and on white, so you can't even see it on the side of the chart, but then I can still use the volume point of control moving around in guiding me. But what I was saying was R3 holds up here randomly, right? Like, why did it hold R3 perfectly? I don't know. It just did. That's why I use this, and it doesn't work every day, but some days it lines up very well. And I know the strategy that says, okay, if we break out of R4, I can go long and I can hold the trade. And what does it do? It did break out. It rejected pre-market high, curled up below it. You get this like wedge kind of here. And when you go long again here, you can hold it. I mean, it retested. It was kind of sloppy. It wasn't the best today. This was the better one right here, but this was still risky after seeing it struggle all day. So it kind of worked. It wasn't the best, but you just use this as a guide. Okay. And this is how I do it every day. I go and I use the scanners. I go and look at the chart and see the volume by price levels, the daily levels I'll mark, which I didn't show you guys that. I just go to the daily chart and mark that. You guys know how to do all that. And then I mark these levels here. And then when I'm going to trade it here, I know where we're at. If I'm here in pre-market on Apple and I'm saying, okay, we're opening up near R4. If today's a strong day, we can break out and this thing can go and run. So that's what happened that day. If I go to a different day here, this is the previous day. We open at near R3, pops up, it rolls over. It kind of holds up here at S3. I was looking for it to go down to S4 and hold up, but you get this move right here. And here is the S3 back to R3 move. So it's just like a measured move kind of. So there's that move. And then what happens? It goes up to R4. It doesn't quite break out. It pops up and then gets stuffed back down over it. And why does 163, 162, and 60 work there? I don't know. But it rolls over here. So this is not a great time to long it unless it's going to curl back up and go back into it. So this thing pulls back here to the 9 and it holds pre-market. It held up the 9 here and then got back through here. I'd maybe take it long again and just hold for 164, 165. But that didn't work. So yeah, that's why kind of just knowing a few things. I think that cam levels are important because we don't have clear targets on big caps.
Now, when you say, yeah, I think that's what's confusing me. You don't have clear targets on big caps. So if you don't, then if you weren't using S3, those pivot points, what do you?
You don't know then. That's why I use it. Because it's like a measurement tool. It's like being a carpenter and not having a measuring tape,
Yeah.
This is just a measuring tape.
Okay.
And so I know, okay, we're at R3. If it's a strong day, we can get to R4. I mean, that's not unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
If we start losing R3 today, we could set up and do an R3 to S3 move and go back to the bottom of this previous range here, where it got, So if we were going to start losing it here, maybe I would look for it to go down and then pull back up and then now do a rejection at kind of like the J lines and at R3, and then my target would be all the way down to S3. Just like it did on the previous day, it curled up here when it did this break, it went from S3 to R3.
Okay.
So it's just like a measuring tape,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And it helps. Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, on small caps, when we short them, you're going to the J lines, you're going to the 3-minute J lines, you're going to the 1,000 on the 1, right? That is always clear. But with big caps, your target is not very clear.
It's not defined. Okay. And
it's just like areas, yeah.
Yeah. And so then on big caps, then the 5-minute and the 3-minute J lines, they don't really do much for you.
I think they still do. I just don't use them that much, honestly.
Okay, so it's really just like kind of still a guide, but they're not like a target area where I use it on small caps. Because I was thinking that I was like, well, I know that 5 minute J lines is a big, huge support area in small caps, and so I've been, I still have those on my chart for big caps, but I was like, I don't know if it gets down to the 5 minute lines. Is
They
it
definitely can work.
okay?
It's just a matter of watching the, like, when you look at the chart, was it working? Yes or no is all the question you gotta ask yourself. Okay, if the 3 minute J lines were just not, almost non-existent, and it's going up through it and back down and up through it, and wasn't really creating a support,
Mhm.
then maybe it's not working today. But then
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow it is working.
Okay, yeah,
That's how all these indicators work. Tomorrow, these fib levels, the Camarillo pivot point levels, the R3, S3, it might not work that well tomorrow. But then there's periods of time where they do work, and there's periods of time where they don't.
right. Yes, because there's war and news and earnings, and so they can just ignore all of these things. Yeah, because I looked at Apple at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I might between like 2:30 and 4, 2:30, 3:30. I was like, oh, okay, well, let me see what it's going to do. It'll either, maybe sell off a bit or push a little bit. And it kept supporting at the 3 minute J lines today. And I was like, well, that's a good indication that I better not get involved, or I'm kind of asking for it. And I think I just, for Apple at least, or the big caps, I kind of look for a really good trend or area to get in the trade, whether short or long. And but if I see something like that where I'm like, well, this is like today, it was consistently holding up at 3 minutes, and where it would dip into at the end, as it kind of grinded higher at it. I was like, why is this grinding higher all day?
Yeah, I mean, some days they really work, and other days it's not really there. Like, for instance, for me, I used to have my this like incline here, 250, which was like the average of the 3 minute J lines, kind of,
Oh yeah.
and just like a one line. But for instance, today on Apple, when I look at it, and I just use the 200 kind of now on the one, you see how it held up here, here, here. It didn't even get down to the J lines, kind of worked here, and then when it did, it dipped below it, but it ended up holding it up here.
Yeah.
So that, when I just look at that, it instantly tells me that this 200 was working today. So taking trades off of that, it was just working. So, sometimes it is the 3 minute or 5 minute J lines that are working. It just depends. And, and now what I do is I just put the 72.89 also on my 5 minute chart, and sometimes when it looks like it's a short here on the 1 minute and we're below the 1 minute J lines, we're actually kind of here getting held up near the 5 minute J lines.
Yeah.
Or just the 72.89 on the 5 minute. So one thing I've been doing lately, I've been trading more off of the 5 minute because the market's so choppy that I'm able to have a wider stop and then, just hold on a little bit better to get these like larger runs that happen throughout the day, and then just recycle the trades at pullbacks. But yeah.
Very cool. Thank you. Did you cut out, Eric? Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else? Any other thoughts, you guys? Anybody else want to share something? Is anyone else seeing stuff that they're seeing that's working right now in the market? Or are we all just clueless?
I'm not. I've just been scalping Apple at the open, and if it rejects some, certain levels right away, and I'll only do it for like maybe the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then I will step away and wait for a direction on it. But the scalping seems to be working at the open.
Yeah.
But it's a surprise bag. It's like, well, I don't know if it's going to reject VWAP or J lines. It's very reactionary at the open, and I'll just scalp it for like, because sometimes it gives you like a big candle at the open,
Yeah.
and that's all I want. I'm like, that's all I want. That's it. Then I wait for direction.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that now at the open, we're trading a lot in a range. And if you're buying at the bottom of the range and then shorting at the top of the range,
Right.
I mean, there is the chance that, it breaks out of the range and it goes, and then you got to cut your trade for a loss. But if you play the range well, it can be really good. For instance, like Tesla, I think yesterday it was it yesterday? Or let's see here on the 1 minute on Tesla. Like, look at this thing. So, as you can see, it keeps getting sold down here, and then it keeps getting bought up around here. So, and these are few dollar moves. Lately I have not been liking scalping this. This is not my favorite type of scalping. This is sloppy, where the computers don't know where they're going.
Yeah. I don't like that either. That's not my, I don't like that at all.
But
But I might take that stuff, like, on that first candle, if I see that stuff and I'm quick enough, I might take it, but that VWAP right there it makes a little nervous.
yeah. But here, what was it? That this was like 848 or 848. See, look, these are some levels I drew on Tesla. 848, which Jay was saying, okay, if we stuff 850 and pre-market high, I'm going to look to short it for a fail follow through. It got to 848 and we didn't short it, but it was pretty close. And why is that? Look at in pre-market, it was running into it. This day it ran into it. If I scroll back here, look at it was running into it here. Every time it got above 848, 850, it popped up and just totally rejected. And look at on this day where it actually popped up, it got to R4. It got through R4, like it was doing an R4 breakout. And then once it rejected and went back down below R4, this thing went all the way back down. It was crazy. And here's S4. When it broke out at S4, you can hold the trade short. Look where it went to, all the way down. But this 850 level has been in play. See, it's getting its support on it here and here. So this level was a good level to short near the open. And then what happens? It gets above it. We're above R3, and then it can't even get up to R4. So, but it was strong today. So tomorrow it might actually open up and trade near R4 and between R4 and R3. And if we get a breakout of R4 tomorrow, we can see the market go up. And then I might be targeting this 875 on Tesla. But if we pop through R4 and then it rejects and goes back down, I'll be watching R3. Is R3 going to hold up? If it doesn't hold up, then we're going to go lower. Yeah, top tick. Right now is not a great time to be trading, in my opinion, the open, because it's just so indecisive. And I'm a very fast scalper, I would say. I can use the 10-second chart, and it's just not worth it for me. My accuracy has gone so much lower near the open, and then I wait till 10 o'clock and I use a 5-minute setup as my entry, where it's doing like a 5-minute breakout. Literally, like every day at 10 o'clock and every day at 10:30 and 11 o'clock, there's like something that significant happens. And here at 10 o'clock, 9:55, 10 o'clock, if you would have took the long here at 10 o'clock, you would have been in this trade all day. So that was the move that happened at 10 a.m. Like literally happens at 10:01 on the dot. And then some days it's at 10:30 on the dot, where it'll be going up like this, and then right at 10:30 we just have this huge volume that comes in and it starts to reject and fade. So every day I'm paying attention to the reaction that happens at 10 o'clock, at 10:30, and at 11, if I'm still trading at 11. But lately I've been trading at 11 to 11:30 because these are when the best setups are happening. And for
The
instance,
same for, yeah, the same for Apple. It had seemed to be like um pushing in like a, you know, vertical every day at like 12 noon. And I kept, waiting for that. And if I see that, but then today didn't really do that. So I was like, okay, so maybe that thing it was doing, it's over now. And now I'm looking for a new pattern in Apple. And I think that's, the first question that the trader asks is why do we, trading these particular big caps over and over again is because they've got these patterns and you can get really comfortable knowing that stock and what it does.
yeah. Yeah, and then the share size that you can trade comfortably. You don't need to like overthink, okay, well, how many shares am I taking on this $2? Oh no, this one's $5. Oh, it's moving at this speed. And then you gotta really think, and then your chances of making a mistake are high. And the market loves it when you make a mistake because it's going to take your money. Where when we trade Tesla and Apple every single day, I know how many trades or how many shares I can comfortably hold on to, as long as it's not ripping. But here's another example of Tesla yesterday. Below the J lines, right? It starts to curl back up. Now we're getting these fireworks, these topping wicks. And then here we go. We've got this inside bar right here. And now I'm taking a 5-minute J line rejection. It's 10 o'clock, 10:01 on the dot, maybe. And I'm going to go short right here. Super tight stop loss. And this is 2R to 3R. Like, this is an easy trade. And what does it hold up? At VWAP, because it would have been better if VWAP was up here above. But yeah, this is a great scalp on the 5-minute, and you take this trade and it might chop around right when you enter it for a little bit, but then once it leaves your price, it's not coming back, and you can comfortably hold on to this trade for 5-10 minutes. It makes a 5-minute high here, makes another 5-minute high here, so you're trimming off the position, and then it comes back to break even. No big deal.
Yeah, nice.
Easy. And then here we go. Now it's going above the J lines. It goes back up. It does this trend line break. It makes this cup pattern here. It runs into R3 and whatever this 820 level that I put here for some reason. And then it rolls back over. And now once it starts rolling over here and it's rejecting R3, it's not able to get through it. What do I say to myself? Okay, well, we're probably going to go back down to the J lines. And then it goes back down to the J lines. It chops sideways, inside bar. Here we go. Here's another inside bar, kind of an indecision, And so we take it long now for a J line curl above the 5-minute J lines. And you would have got in long here, risking, $4 or $5, which is not that much on $800 stock of Tesla. And here you go. You would have got that move. So you risk $3-4 here, which at the time when you're choosing your stop loss, you're like, okay, this seems like a lot. But then it goes and moves 10, 20, $30 in your direction. This was a 10R trade right here. And you go towards R4. That's where you're going to take your first partial in case it rejects. And then what happens? It starts holding the 9 and starts to break out. And then it runs at an 850 level again, and it can't get through 850. Cool. And I delete my lines all the time, and I put new ones every day almost, or every couple days, because it's just good practice. And if I draw too many lines, I start deleting them as the day goes, and I pay attention to the ones that are working.
So I think for the small caps, because of the recent oil run, there's been a lot more liquidity. So actually, the market for the small caps are actually stronger now. That's why I see a lot more. They extend a lot more, and where before, usually you could short like the golden zone, like for a gap and crap, or for gap and extension. Now they go for pre-market high. Um, and a lot of them actually extend past pre-market high now. and there's a lot of extensions. So that's one thing to note. For the
Yeah,
small caps, I think.
yeah. I think shorting some of those oil companies that are small caps, you got to be really careful because we've been getting this parabolic move in oil. So those companies that everyone wants to short, and like on Indo, it every day it just kept going higher and higher, and people think okay it's gonna pop and fail, and it just didn't do that because of the news catalyst behind it. But I think we had some good fade on oil. What, yesterday or today it was?
Yeah, I was looking for like a gap down day two, but they just died. They just faded too much in the pre market, and they didn't really give a pop at the open, but they but like they bounced back later, so there was really no setup for a short there,
Mm-hmm.
for me at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Jay will always, at least I've heard him say many times, be careful shorting above golden zone. It can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
To reject is one thing, but when it's pushing and grinding like that, it's another.
Here's Oxy yesterday. Look at, runs in R4 for whatever reason, 58 and 80. It just won't go any higher. It makes a curl on the J lines and then rolls over, making a kind of a lower high. And where does it go? From R3 all the way down to S3. And that's a $5 move. 5 point, actually, no, it's more. $6, $7 move. So um, these are big moves. But yeah, oil's been really strong. It was so funny. I was watching the news yesterday, and they were like saying, "Oh, the largest drop in oil prices in a single day." And it's so funny because they talk like that's significant, or it has value from the fact that gas prices are so high. But then they try like if you watch the news just yesterday, you would have thought, "Oh, the price of gas is going down." It ain't going down, not yet.
No, I know. The news is hilarious.
It really is. And it's like so funny that they even put that. Oh, it was the largest drop in a single day since I can't remember when they said like '08 or something and it's like, okay, nobody cares because the price of gas is so high. So whoop de doo.
So okay, so I've been thinking about this because oil is so strong right now because of the war, right? For the small caps recently, like the oil small caps, I've realized that like what Mugen has said before too. I think he mentioned it. He said that if you swung them, you could like double your account, and I'm just there
Yeah.
like trying to like short them and stuff, and I make like 1 or 2 R, and I'm just over here like, huh, I'm really missing out. So then I'm realizing now that maybe because they're okay, because now there's like a pullback, right? But what if it just holds like the 1 hour J lines, right? So I feel like
Yeah.
like over the next week or so, there could be a bounce, right? Or even it's just a rally, could
Yeah.
be. So I've been thinking about that. And and I know that Jay teaches swings, but it's like something that's outside of his like teachings. So I
Yeah. I
so I
mean,
don't really
that's,
know how to go about it. Sorry for cutting you off.
yeah. No, no. I mean, it's all good. I agree with what you're saying. There is a lot of uncertainty if it will curl up and keep going higher. It just depends on obviously the news, and you got to be careful with the swing trade because you could wake up tomorrow and then some crazy news came out and it drops. But that's why if you do it on a small size and you learn setups for swing trading, buying off the J lines on a higher time frame, it can work really well. But I agree with what you're saying because for me personally, I've been scalping intraday, which can be really good. You can make great money from it. But I realize how on some of these like big caps, when I was trading them 2 years ago, if I would have just bought and held it, I would have been in a lot better. I would have made even more money. So now what I've been doing is using larger time frames, and I have a few shares that maybe I'll leave on and I'll let it turn into a swing trade. Something that isn't significant, something that I can still sleep at night and not worry. But yeah, sometimes I let my intraday moves turn into a swing trade. That's one thing I've been trying to work on, because sometimes with 10, 20, 100 shares, you can let a swing trade happen and it can move a lot.
The thing that I mainly see is, you know, those sympathy plays. So I feel like how how can I explain this? When Indo ran, if you picked one of those low floaters in the energy sector, and like you just bought it and just swung them overnight, you know, you could wake up to like a huge gap up.
Yeah.
Or like in the afternoon, they just spiked up. And I feel like if I had more, if if I was smarter and I had more agency, like like now that I think about it, like I'm missing out, you know. I don't know how how to explain it. Like I missed out on those opportunities. But
But
if I like
it's
actually,
just
you
being
know,
aware of it, and then as
yeah.
you become a better trader, you're going to slowly know how to do it. You know, it's like how much you know now versus before, when you were just thinking about starting trading. Like you didn't know much, right? And now you're comfortable opening up a platform, taking trades, executing, and as you do this over time, eventually you're going to become comfortable, swing trading and learning some
Mhm.
swing trading stuff. It's not hard. Swing trading's, I think, easy, because you just like buy off of a moving average that you like, or a price level, and you just close your eyes and hold. Okay, you guys, is that pretty good for today?
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Janine. Thanks, Gondola, for participating.
No, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it's fun for me. It's it helps me, solidify what I know. And also when I get to review charts with you guys, it's beneficial. And that way I don't have to review them later tonight by myself. I just review a few things with you guys. Well, okay, guys, keep it green, and have a good rest of the week. And we'll see you on Saturday. Yeah.
Thanks, Eric. And
All
thanks
right.
everyone for sharing as well.
Hey, Mac. Hope the week's been okay for you.
So.
You're not a millionaire yet this week, so don't worry. Just keep practicing.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you.
All right. See you guys.